Hey, brother is on time today. I'm on time today. Yes, sirree. I'm on time today. So, we got a few things to cover. I'm not going to be before you that long, but this should be interesting because I made quite a few discoveries last week while putting the SSL2 through some light paces. I was working on some music, so I had a chance to use it in a composition that I'm working on. So, it's a good thing. And I'm just looking at my phone, making sure everything is copacetic, as they say, as they used to say. So who's here? Who's here? And let's chatter, and we'll wait for a quorum, and then we will get started. This is going to be quick, fast recap. Got some audio examples and some thoughts about what SSL is doing these days. So let's see. Who's here? Say something in the chat, and we'll get started. All right. So let's do that. I will wait for a few. Okay. All right. It's funny, It's funny. But it's all good. But even without a quorum, I'm gonna get started. And anybody that wants to catch it on the playback apparently will. But I'm going to give another minute or two of housekeeping where I say hello to everyone, and after that I'm going to get started because there's some interesting things that happened, and I have some thoughts about what's happening, or what's how can I phrase it? Where solid state logic. This is my opinion, so please, anyone that wants to, flame me on the playback, whatever. But this is based on me knowing how companies who have deep pockets play a particular game. As if Amazon and Netflix are not exhibits A and B about companies that have gone from probably, a small obscure company to these large behemoths that now dictate the rules of the road in Hollywood. If that's not enough of an example, then I don't know what will be. But know this, and that's that solid state logic has been around for over 40 plus years. That's point number one. You don't have longevity in this business unless you have had a measure of success, which they have had a long stream of successes throughout the years. Point two, they have a lot of money. I don't know exactly what their balance sheet looks like, but I would suspect that any company that has been around for that duration of time has a sound fiscal bottom line, if you will. Uh, you don't last as a business unless you're at some point or another turning a profit, and they've probably turned a profit year over year over year over year for God only knows how long. So it stands to reason that they are able to play this new game of DAW workstations and DAW workflow on a whole other level that maybe other people can't. Okay, other companies can't. You know, uh, what I love about them is the fact that they are diverse in terms of product being offered to the market. You know, I read a book by the former head of ITT, Harold Janine. The book that I read when I was in school called Managing, and he stepped into a company, and like some forward-thinking CEOs, he said the the way to success for a corporation is through diversification. Period. If you can diversify what you do, um, you're going to make a lot of money. Think about it for a minute. If we're talking about diversification, uh, if you're a union musician, right? Let's just say because most states have a symphony or some other organization for the arts. So if you're a union musician in your locale and you double on a wind instrument, do you walk away with the same pay as a person who plays one instrument? The answer to that is no. You're doubling on an instrument, so quite naturally you're going to get that and some because you're doubling, you're diversified. You're a clarinet player as well as a alto sax, or well, in B flat, a tenor player. You know, so if you're doubling on a date, and even in recording sessions, you get paid double scale. Period. So diversification is key to success for any musician, any company, any individual who wants to make a lot of money. Okay? Period. Point blank. Full stop. So, okay, we have AA. Hi. Lewitt 240 Pro or AKGP 220. Which one is more detailed on quiet sounds? I need a microphone for experiments. I would say to you, Lewitt first, because again, they have the technology, and then the noise floor on their microphones is extremely low. So, hope that answers your question. Okie dokie. Mr. Pirate Brain, what's up, man? What's happening? I was just giving a little bit of background about diversification, and I think that is the key to longevity for a company like Solid State Logic. And the fact that they are playing this new game that was once upon a time dictated by company DigiDesign, which is now Avid, speaks to the fact that they like Universal Audio and Personus with Studio One. These guys are in it for the long haul. They're in it for the long haul. They want to play, and they want to play with the big boys. And you see currently in the market that there's a level playing field, if you will. Logic Pro X is proof of that. You know, for many years that I've been using Logic, my biggest complaint was that it was like a crazy amount of windows that you had to go through. What did they do? They simplified the interface, and now they're like one of the more dominant players in the DAW market. So, you know, if that's any indication. But AA, I appreciate your question. You know, hope you hang around for the live stream because I have some very valuable information. So, and because it's just me and Mr. Pirate Brain here, we will get into the flow of it. I started with the point of diversification, and I think that's going to be key to Solid State Logic's future dominance in the area of audio interfaces, audio and DAW technology, and the like. And I'm saying that because they're trying to capture a particular audience. And like I said in prior streams, everybody starts the beginning, and some begin with the end game in mind. Okay? Everybody. We all begin and we end somewhere. We all start our careers with a particular piece of equipment. We end somewhere. You're saying the video is twitching? Welcome to trying to stream live, at the time of day that I'm streaming, sometimes the servers at my provider get, I guess, a little busy. Although YouTube says that this is a good time, but it is also like a heightened time for my provider. So bear with me, and I hope you do hang around. And that's that. But everybody starts somewhere. We start our careers with something, and that thing becomes familiar to our workflow, So with that in mind, again, if a workflow you're comfortable with is the end game, then where you start matters. Where you begin matters. Solid state logic knows that. They know that. They know that. If any of you have ever had the chance to go to the AES for any amount of visits that you've had throughout your career, you will know when you go to the exhibits who the major players are. The major players are the guys with the huge displays. Avid always has one. SSL always has one. Neve and Focusrite and all these people have huge, displays out. API is another one. They're displaying their wares to everyone. So, to that point, these people are in it to introduce product and to make money. So where does solid state logic fall in that category? Like I said, they have the top guy in CLA endorsing it. He's been on the platform for all of his career. They're engaging in plugins. They now have control surfaces. And now look at this with their interfaces. Are their interfaces great? Yes. I'm going to tell you in a nutshell. I found it very impressive. And I'm going to play some audio for you guys really quick. And you tell me what you think in terms of the quality, either in the comments below on the playback or not. You tell me what you think in terms of the sound quality of a interface that is $200, and I will tell you my final thoughts. So, if you're going to have to start here. And when you start there, it's not a bad place to start. So without further ado, here is the sound of the SSL2 versus the Focusrite 2i4, which is a direct competitor, and the SSL2 with the 4K switches engaged. Listen carefully. It's not the best audio coming across YouTube, but this gives you an example of what this audio interface sounds like against its competition. So listen to this. So there's that. That is the sound of the SSL2. I'll take a few comments and then I'm gonna share with you my thoughts. Um, but before I take any comments, or if you're commenting below on the playback, when I was in music school, they said you should be able to sit down at any instrument and sound like yourself. Now, the one thing that I noticed about this unit is that there's an air of familiarity. I'll stop right there and I'll wait for a comment or two. Let me see who is here. Okay. Okay, no comments? All right, here's the deal. Um, like I said, any musician should be able to sound like themselves on the instrument that they're playing, regardless of the instrument. I'm not talking about a broken instrument. I'm talking about an instrument of some measure of quality. You're going to sound like yourself. When I first ran audio through this interface, I thought to myself, there was an air of familiarity with the way it sounded initially. Then I clicked in the 4K switch, and automatically, it's like, you have, they say in your senses, like if you have a sense of a smell of a perfume, it'll bring you back, or a song will bring back a memory, etc. As soon as I heard that 4K switch engaged, it automatically brought me back to the very first time I heard a solid state logic console, and that is absolutely no lie. They have managed to replicate the quality on a fundamental level of a SSL 4000 console preamp in a small footprint like the SSL2. I'm trying to glance over the comments at the same time, so y'all bear with me. I'll say that again. They have managed to capture the quality of the old school 4000 into a small footprint like the SSL2. There's no doubt in my mind that these people are not somewhere in a black-sided lab making a play for some bigger companies in this market of DAW workstations, as well as developing probably a software or a DAW interface to compete directly with Pro Tools. So let me look at some quick comments. Eric Summer, what's up, brother? I'm glad you are here. I'm glad you are here. So, what is that saying? That's saying that they got some money, man. They have money. Now, why am I saying it from this perspective? Why? I'm a Neve person. I own Focusrite gear and have owned it from the Platinum series all the way to and through to the ISIS series, and I have the Focusrite Reds. You all already know that. But Focusrite equipment has a particular sound that I like. And that sound of the Focusrite does translate well to the Focusrite 2i4. That was something that I did not realize until I put that interface up against the SSL2. They sound like their respective selves, in other words, is my point. The 4000 engaged, when I hit the switch, has that seemingly harsh top end, to my ears at least, that I was familiar with when the first time I heard it. And similarly, the Focusrite 2i4 has that somewhat subdued, darker top end that I'm used to when I hear my equipment that I've used for so many years. So what is that saying? That they had enough money to replicate well the 4000 and to bring it to the most novice of users at such an affordable price point that there's no doubt in my mind that they're trying to reel in a particular demographic and consumer that once they have a measure of success, um, they're gonna just stay within the focus rate, stay within the SSL ecosystem throughout their entire career. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind. This particular interface, is it my first choice? No, I'd rather, what will I be using on my laptop will be the Focusrite. The SSL will be for my video editing workstation. You know, they have their respective jobs. That's cool to be able to have that degree of flexibility. I happen to like the Focusrite more in terms of the sound. That doesn't make it better. That doesn't make it make the SSL less than. They both have a sound that you either like or not. You either build your career on it or not. I know where I've spent most of my time and what equipment I possess in great numbers. So I'm familiar with that sound. I prefer that particular sound. Others may start their career on the SSL too, and then next thing you know, hey, they come out with an 8-channel. I want the 8-channel. You know, maybe they will get into, you know, the entire software aspect in terms of DAWs. You're already in the ecosystem. You started your career there. So what are you going to gravitate towards in the future? That exactly. So I will play the audio one more time for both, and you all tell me what you think. So, Cornelius says, must say I thought it was a tie until the second SSL play. That says a lot about them, though. You know, to your point, that says a lot about solid state logic. It's like the new kid who kicked in the door. Like, remember if those of you who like basketball, when Michael Jordan first came into the league, you know, it was Larry Bird that was the guy, and then Michael lit him up in one game, and it was like, okay, I think Michael's now the guy. Well, SSL came to the table with a whole lot of money in their pockets, saying we want to play with the high rollers. You know, this is not a bad place to start, man. This is not. At $200, I don't think there's another there are several interfaces, don't get me wrong. But in terms of quality and connectivity, that's another thing. Connecting this thing was effortless. Right out of the box. Who doesn't want something that works and works well right out of the box? You know? So to your point, you know, with the 4K switch engaged, yes, it gives you a heightened sense of upper mids and a sprinkle of top end. You like it or you don't. But I'm telling you, it is a very good replication of a 4000. Because it brought me, as soon as I hit that switch, I, like you, Cornelius, thought it was like, oh, okay, well, it's just about the same. There was a slight difference in the actual audio. But when I hit the switch, and you could hear it, and I had headphones on, I was like, oh, wow, this reminds me of, you know, it took me back to that time, that point in time, when I first heard a 4000. So that says a lot about them. But like I said, they want to get you at the ground floor. If I can get you to like my product at the ground, I can guarantee you, when the AES comes back, trust me, there will be probably more kids showing up from these audio programs going to inquire about their product than not. Because after all, they got the top guy endorsing it. It is a great, not a good product. It's a great product because they did well in terms of replicating rather the 4000 console preamp. And it's like, who doesn't want to have quality at a low price to begin with? But they got something else brewing. And they have a whole lot of offerings with the Fusion and other modular, be it 500 series or their, I think it's the XL Logic series. They have a whole lot of modular things that you can, you know, pick and choose from in their product line. So the point is that they got you. They got you at the most fundamental level. It's sturdy. Okay, it's all surface mounted. I had a colleague share with me. It's all surface mounted components. But unlike some other manufacturers, it feels solidly made. You know, so it's a good place to start, man. It's a very good place to start. Okay, and here's Eric. He says, there's a certain clarity in the SSL that I kind of like. Okay, if you have some good SSL style EQs, I think you could pull it off with the Focusrite though. Both are good. They are. There's a saying that says you should underpromise and overdeliver. Well, underpromising in the price, but you're getting much more for your money than not. Because there are other interfaces out there that you can buy that are 2-channel interfaces. But how many of them sound this good at that price point? There's not a lot of people with a whole lot of money, but they want the quality. And then you got the top guy endorsing your company. You know, you have a more fundamental look of an SSL. So it's like they got you at the most fundamental level, the start of your career. So I expect great things to come of this in terms of audio interfaces. What do you guys think? Mr. Pirate Brain says, I like the Focusrite better. It sounded heavier. Yeah, your type of music that you do, you probably lean more in the bottom end. You know, you're like me in that the genre of music will oftentimes dictate the tool. You know what I mean? So to your point, the bottom end is a lot more beefier, and that's what I like on a Focusrite. And in contrast, the SSL has more of a heightened upper mid area, which will lend itself well to guitar driven music as well as pop. So genre does dictate whether or not, or rather, what tool you're going to use in the end. So to your point. All right. So, okay, we covered everybody. I am going to play the audio for the final time and take final comments, and then we'll call it a day. Here we go for the final playback. So there you have it, folks. Mr. Pirate Brain says the SSL sounds more compressed and less open. Well, I mean, maybe if that's the way you're hearing it, I think it's just a little bit more brighter on the top end than the Focusrite, and that's not to a fault. That's pretty cool if you're doing, like I said, a particular genre of music. And if research and development is the name of the game for all of these companies, Avid, Focusrite, SSL, then these guys are in it for the long haul. You know what I mean? They got deep pockets. The only thing we can expect from SSL at this point is greater things. And I look forward to hearing their future iterations of everything that they do. Not that I would become a consumer, although I consulted with a colleague of mine this week, and he owns an Origin. He just took delivery of it recently, and he said, as they were wiring, they figured, okay, well, let's just, get the console interface with the, I mean, console connected with the interfaces, and then let's just run some raw audio through it. So he says as soon as he ran just a plain unprocessed audio through it, he said he noticed that there was a clarity at the bottom end, that and a heft that can only be associated with, you know, something that's residing in the low, you know, the low end to the low mids, because we hear the high end easily, you know. So he said, okay, he thought, well, maybe that's just me because I know the music, you know, it sounds like it, but let me check. So what he did a printed in the box mix, and then he ran the same mix as stems through the DAW back into the console, or rather through the console back into the DAW. And he was like, it was an unquestionable difference. So he let me hear the audio, and I just, you know, on a whim, soloed the bottom end by itself. And it was very distinct. The bottom end had a clarity and a heft to it. It wasn't like something monumental or that great, but it was noticeable to the point where it was like, wow. So his, you know, the final analysis is that, you know, I guess if you're wondering, did he make a good purchase? He is now an SSL room, you know, that he could sell as part of his services because of it. Because there's something undeniable about that sound. Undeniable. The undeniable. Anybody that wants to, you know, say otherwise either has never, ever, well, either A, they don't know what they're talking about, or B, they have never, ever experienced the birth of solid-state logic consoles in the beginning to make an intelligent reference present tense. They have never been there. So it's just like a matter of opinion at that point, you know, because maybe they're brand loyalists or whatever, for whatever reason. But these guys came to play, and they came to play big time, man. So to any youngster that is looking for a good place to land and you have very little money, the SSL2 is a great place to begin your journey in recording audio in music. Okay, so let's look at a few other comments. Eric Summers, this is almost like a Neve versus SSL, as blasphemous as it may sound. No, you know, you can't really put Neve versus SSL versus API as a competition. You know, it's like everybody's on the same footing. It's like Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and Pat Ewing all in their prime. I mean, they're good players. Each has their strengths, you know? So you can't say one is better than... Now, if you said a company like... And this is not... Please, the people at Personus, don't give me hate mail. You cannot compare Personus to SSL. You can't. You can't compare Personus to API. You can't. You can't compare a Mackie console to a Neve. You cannot. Because of the time spent doing something. You know, you just can't compare. You know, and that's not to say that these products are inferior. They have their place in terms of product that they offer to a particular consumer. It doesn't make it bad. It makes it a prosumer piece of gear. But meanwhile, API, Neve, and SSL, they got white coats, man. They got the most brilliant of engineers working on the next iteration of whatever brilliant idea they came up with in the boardroom. You got money to play the game or you don't. Period. Each SSL, Neve, and API have their respective sounds, you know? And they have been dominant players in the music industry for 40 plus years, respectively. There is no way a new jack can come to the table and say, hey, we're better than. No, that's not going to happen. But for a youngster getting into the business of recording audio, you're going to look for the best tools. And right now, to have this particular tool afforded to you at a cheap price that works well out of the box with no hiccups, no extra drivers you got to install, etc., 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 nightmare, I think they're onto something. You know, I'm just looking at it from a business sense and an audio sense in that where are you going with this thing? Why are you here? A company has to ask themselves, why are we spending this money trying to capture this audience? There's a reason. Chris Lordell is part of that reason. They know the power of this man's name. They know it. They know it. They know who he appeals to on a more fun. He's the Michael Jordan. Everybody want to be like Mike. So they know that we need to tap into his mass appeal, right? And turn around and get him at the ground level and bring up the next Chris Lordell. Period. That's what they're doing. I mean, anybody who doesn't see it from that perspective or wants to argue brand stuff, please spare me. You know, and I'm talking from a business person's standpoint. You know, if something works or something does not, you know. Hey. Oh, man, listen. Everybody give Home Recording Made Easy a shout out. And if you haven't done so already, please go over to their channel. It's a great place to learn for you youngsters who are trying to get your feet wet. They have great product to get you started on your journey in audio. And I can't think of a better place, you know, for you to start than with Home Recording Made Easy. You know, great site, great channel, and good friends and good people, man. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And Trustee Studio, no, you are not late to the party. There is always the playback, my brother. But this has been a great discussion. Like I said, there's no doubt that they're in it to win it. You know, companies go into business to do one thing, turn a profit. And if something is unprofitable, they pull the plug on it. Or you just, you know, want to create a loss leader because you have a tax issue that you're trying to resolve. You know, and Solid State Logic has been doing this a very, very, very long time. Very long time. You know, so final questions. Anyone before I sound off, because a brother has been blabbing for 45 minutes. I'm sharing my thoughts. And sure, the internet audio is not the greatest, you know, but trust me when I tell you that they did very well in terms of replicating the quality of the 4000 preamp. When you hit that switch, automatically there was an air of familiarity that I had, you know, from hearing the 4000 when I was a kid. Automatically, that brought me back to that place and said, yes, this is a quality piece of gear. Quality piece of gear, well made, greatly you know, affordably priced, and a great way to begin your career. So one or two other questions, Trustee Studio. I am glad that you made it. You know, there's always the playback again. And so this has been good. This is the final iteration of this study, if you will. I'll call it a study, because it's nothing more than that. And my goal is to provide the best information based on my own personal experiences. I'm not going to sit here and sell you guys. And if I can tell you that this product is very well made for the beginning user, this product is very well made for the person that's just beginning. You're not spending a lot of money, and you're getting a quality piece of gear that has a good, solid support system, which is important when you're starting out. I don't think how you can go wrong. I don't see rather how you can go wrong, you know. So With that in mind, again, this has been good. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. For those of you who may know someone who could benefit from this information, please share it. And don't forget to say hello to each and every one of your families for me. I appreciate you guys' time and you being here. Thanks for watching, guys.